It's a couple of minutes to 12, so if you've just joined us, welcome. Welcome, Vodafone, to day 4 in our week of mindful meditation and yoga. I'm here every day from 12 to 12:30. Those who've been with me all week, thank you for following, thank you for subscribing, and I hope that you'll be here tomorrow as well. If you've just joined us today, there are some things we've been doing that are sequential, but each class is different. So even if you're a beginner, I hope that you'll take the easier options today and you will still get plenty from the class, plenty to take away with you, and I hope it will make your day fruitful, productive, and peaceful. So I've chosen to start the practice today in a kneeling position. I've got a block underneath me because that elevates my hips and takes the strain off my feet, which tend to go to sleep if I'm in this position for any length of time. You can sit in a cross-legged position if that's comfortable for you. I know some people hate sitting cross-legged. Earlier in the week, I spoke about hip joints and how they vary from person to person. It may be that you can sit very easily with your legs open and you find it very difficult to sit with your legs rotating the other way. Choose the position that's right for you. If neither of those feel right, you can have your legs straight out in front. You can lean against a wall. You can have some support for your spine if you need to. You can even do the beginning bit of class sitting in a chair, provided that your back is long, if you need that support for your lower back. So welcome again, Vodafone. If you've just joined, we're now going to begin with our breathing practice. So sit so that your spine is long. If you've got blocks, have them towards the back of your mat because we'll need them in a moment if you've got them and you can use them. Otherwise, have a block underneath you to support your hips or a cushion or a rolled up blanket. Sit with your spine long. Close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so. If you don't like doing that, you can keep your eyes open and take your eye gaze to the tip of your nose. Start to focus in on your breath. Inhaling and exhaling through your nostrils. So in yoga, we almost always inhale and exhale through the nose. Inhaling through the nose warms the air, not maybe so critical on a day like today, but it warms cold air so that by the time it hits your throat, it's gone through your nose and your mouth, and that's warmed it a little. And then it's warm as it enters your lungs. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Inhaling through the nose also helps to clean and filter the air. Nasal hairs are there for a reason. They catch debris, small particles of pollen, allergens, dirt, dust, and trap them in the nose and prevent them from traveling into the lungs. So it's your own filtration system. Watch the air as it enters the nose, enters the oral cavity, enters the throat cavity, enters the lungs. The collarbones may lift slightly. The rib cage should expand. Feel the side ribs opening as you open and breathe into your lower rib cage where your lungs are bigger. As you do this, your diaphragm, which is like a big trampoline spring underneath your rib cage, draws down. Your belly pops out forward, and you may even feel some engagement with your pelvic floor, which is another trampoline-like spring, the bottom spring of your vocal spring mechanism. So watch the breath. Watching the breath helps to calm the mind. Watch the upward rising breath, the prana, the life force entering the body. And as you exhale, make sure you exhale fully. Exhale the sludge of toxic memory. So if you're holding on to anything today, any little portion of rancor, any resentment, any regret, any hurt, breathe it out. With your long exhalation, let it go. Wave goodbye to it. See it disappear over the horizon. Next time you exhale, gently draw your chin down towards your chest. And as you inhale, draw one ear over towards the same shoulder. You can keep your eyes closed or open, it's up to you. Exhaling, drawing the chin down to the chest, and inhaling as you take the other ear towards the shoulder. So keep moving, matching your movement with your breath as you draw the chin down and across in a semicircle. Don't take the head behind. We're just warming up. That's too much strain for the neck. We're just opening up the back of the neck here, the occipital region, where the top of the spine meets the base of the skull. Got a lot of muscles there that work hard to keep your very heavy head balanced on your spindly spine. And if they get too tight, if you get too knotted in this area, it constricts the blood flow, stops oxygen reaching the brain, and can give you a nasty headache. So if you're prone to headaches, really think about softening this area, gently moving from side to side. Make sure you've done an even number to each side. If you can remember which side you started on, finish on the opposite side. Drop the chin to the chest. And now in your own time, gently lengthen out the spine again, fluttering open the eyes if you've not done so already. Take the shoulders up to your ears and wrap them back and down. Do that one more time before we change direction. Shoulders come up and over. And then we change direction. We bring them up and forward. One more of those. Listen to those creaks and cracks. Maybe that's just me. And then relax the hands by the side of your body. Take one arm up towards the ceiling, anchor the shoulder down, and then start to lean over to the side. You can bring your fingertips to the floor. Maybe you can bring your forearm to the floor, but make sure the opposite hip stays grounded. Inhale to the center. We'll go to the other side. Take it gently at first, stretching the fingertip to the hip, making sure this arm isn't falling forward of the head, keeping the chest open. We'll do one more to each side. I'm going to remove my block now so I can come a little deeper into the stretch. You do what feels right for you. Inhaling to the center, exhaling to the side. Inhale to the center and exhale to the center. So if you're sitting in a cross-legged position, you can stay like that. If you're in a kneeling position, I suggest that you shunt your buttocks over to the right so that your feet are to the left. Your feet are coming towards your left buttock. Sit upright. You'll immediately want to fall to the side. Press into the fingertips to give you some lift here. We're going to twist to the right. So take your left hand across to the outer right knee. Take your right hand behind. So this position's slightly harder than a cross-legged position because your body wants to fall to the side. So you have to work a little bit harder in the waist and in the hip to keep you lifted. A block can be handy here to support the hand at the back. If you're experienced and you want to stick your hand underneath your front thigh, maybe you can get that back hand off the ground and bring it towards your left elbow. Wherever you are, look over your right shoulder if you can and stay here for another 2 breaths. Inhaling and exhaling deeply. Twists are very good for your internal organs and for your digestive system. They help to stimulate peristaltic motion. That might be too much information. Inhale to the center, exhale to the center. We're going to the other side. So if you're kneeling, come back to center and then just slide over onto the left buttock. So your feet come towards the right. Sit upright. Again, try not to fall into that hand. Have a block there if that's handy to give you some lift. Inhale and exhale as we twist to the left. Right hand comes across the body, left hand comes behind. Open the chest, lead from the sternum, look over that shoulder if you can. Maybe you can slide that hand underneath. Maybe you can bring that hand around towards the elbow. For Advajasana, sage twist. Looking over the left shoulder, provided that doesn't feel like a strain. If it does, look the other way. Should feel that in the hips. One more breath here. When you're ready to come out of it, release the hands and gently release the legs. Wherever you are, we're going to all bring our legs out in front now. So if you've got very tight hamstrings and you find it difficult to sit like this, then take a block under your buttocks to give you some elevation, or a cushion or a blanket. It's better to have your knees soft than to be collapsing in the middle. If you're able to sit really tall in the spine and to straighten the legs, then do so. This is Dandasana, staff pose. Danda is a staff or stick in Sanskrit. Sit as upright as you're able, roll the shoulders back and down, draw your crown away from your tailbone. And then draw your right knee in towards your chest, give it a bit of a hug, have a little bit of a gap between your foot and your thigh, and sit up straight. Now bring your foot to your thigh, open the leg to the side so that your hip is open. If that's a challenge for you, use a block or several cushions to support that knee and thigh. From here, angle your so your sternum lines up with your mid-toes. We're coming into Janu Shirsasana. Roll your shoulders back and down. Sit as tall as you can, and then on an exhalation, start to hinge from the hip. Don't be in a rush. We're going to take 4 breaths to get here. Each inhalation, we're going to open the front body and lengthen, and with your exhalation, you're going to start to fold. So Janu Shirsasana means head beyond the knee pose. Your head may be nowhere near beyond your knee. It's just a direction of travel. 2 more breaths, inhaling here and exhaling as you fold. Concentrating on lengthening all the time, trying not to round in the back. And then when you get to your 4th breath, just gently release and see where you get to. Head may be coming to the knee, maybe nowhere near. Just go to wherever is comfortable for you. Inhale, press the fingers into the mat, walk them up the body, gently release your folded knee and stretch it out in front. We're doing exactly the same on the other side. Left leg comes in, give it a bit of a hug, sit up tall with a little bit of a space here. Find that height and then draw that foot in and open the left leg. Again, block can be handy there. Adjust your chest so your sternum lines up with your toes. Find the length in your front body and start to hinge from the hip. You might find one side is much easier or harder than the other. Listen to your body. Use all 4 breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling to fold. You might be able to take hold of the foot. But if you do, watch that you're not taking tension into your shoulder girdle or into your arms. You want softness here. Surrender into the pose. Surrender into whatever version of the pose is accessible to you. And remember, we don't all look the same when we do yoga. Inhale, press the fingers, come up and release the leg. There's no one size fits all in yoga. It's your body, it's your mind. Only you know what's going on. So do what feels right for you. Bring both feet to the floor, just rock the knees gently from side to side, and then come up to standing any way you can. So you might find it helpful to have your mat facing, so the short end is facing me. I'm going to go side on. You'll see for why in a minute, but I will adjust so that you can see me. So stand up tall at the front of your mat with your feet about hip distance apart. Take the arms up and over and press the palms together, or you can draw your hands down to your heart center, whichever's more comfortable for you. We're coming into Utkatasana, fierce pose or strong pose. We inhale here. As we exhale, press into your heels and start to send your bottom back and down. You want to watch here that you're not coming forward. You don't want to strain the front of your knees. Lift up your toes so you know that most of your weight's in your heels, and continue to come down. So the challenge in this pose, and the reason it's called fierce pose or intense pose, is that you want to tuck your tailbone under at the same time as you're tipping your hips back and you're trying to lift your chest. So that means there's quite a lot going on. You can feel it in your quads, you can feel it in your glutes. You can also, if you get that tailbone tuck, feel it in your deep abdominal muscles. If you want to take your arms up, be my guest. Wrap the shoulders back and down. Press the thumbs into your sternum if they're at your heart center. Inhale here, and as we exhale, we're going to twist to the right. So the left elbow comes over towards the outer right thigh. Keep the buttocks low if you can, or come up higher. But watch that your left knees not come forward. We don't want to twist in the hips here, hips level, and the easiest way of checking that is to check that your knees are level. So that will reduce the amount you're able to twist, but do what you can. Come out of it if you had enough. It's quite tough. You can stay here for a couple more breaths. See if you can even deepen it. Whew. From here, you may need to bring your hands to the floor. So I'll show you the tougher option first because we're already there. So if you're strong, put your weight into your right leg, float your left one to the back of your mat and come into revolved lunge. That's too much. Bring your hands to the floor. Take your left foot back. Maybe you can drop your knee. Maybe you can keep your left hand on the floor. Maybe you can float your right hand up. Maybe a block under the left hand and the hand on the knee. So this is one option here, your twisted lunge. That's an option. Tucking the toes and lifting the knee is an option. Floating the hand up is an option. Hands to the heart center is also an option. Keep breathing. Keep sending the energy from that back heel up to your crown. Feel the length of the spine. Do what you can. So from here, we're all going to release the hands to the floor. Now hop that back foot in slightly and press the heel down. Press into your back foot and lift up. We're coming into warrior one. So in warrior one, we want our hips level, just like we did in Parsvattanasana at the beginning of the week. We're not going to open here. We're going to draw the back hip round. Left hip comes forward, right hip comes back, so your hips are level. If you can float your arms up, wrap your shoulders back and down. Think of a V shape between your fingertips and the base of your spine. Activate the muscles of your back. Open your chest. If you can take your eye gaze up between your hands and take your thumbs back, then do so. That's quite strong. If your back heel won't come down to the floor, then you can lift it slightly. But you're aiming to get the heel down and the hips around. If you have to take your back foot a little bit wider, that's also a possibility. One more breath here if you can. Now bring your hands back to your heart center. Turn your front foot to the left. Turn your torso to the left with both toes facing slightly inwards and your heels lined up with the back of your mat. So you've now got your back to the long side of the mat. I'm going to adjust my position so you can see me. We're coming into Parivrtta Parsvattanasana. So from here, lift up, lift away and out of your hips, pressing down through your heels, and then hinge from the hip. This is why I've turned to the side. So you're drawing your crown away from your tailbone and coming down with a flat back. You may be able to get fingertips to the floor, or you may want to have a couple of blocks in front of you, if you've got them. Another option, if you've got a bit of furniture handy, is to use that, or the wall. Inhaling here and exhaling to fold. Come deeply into that stretch. If you can, keep the toes ever so slightly turned in. That's going to open up your sacroiliac region, give you a little bit more space here. If you can come all the way to the floor, then do so. Keep breathing. One more breath here. And then on your next exhalation, press into your hands, turn your toes out and your heels in and come up into Utkatta Konasana, Devyasana or Goddess Squat. You should be now facing the back of the room or facing the left side of your mat. I'll show you from the front. That's what it looks like. So you're tucking your tailbone in, you're opening your arms, you're drawing your shoulder blades together at the back, maybe drawing your elbows down a bit. Inhale, and as you exhale, come a little bit deeper. So here you want to watch your bottoms not sticking out. Tuck it under. Draw your pelvis forward. Keep breathing. If you can, inhale, exhale, go a little bit deeper. If you're hating it, you had enough, then straighten the legs, take a break, come back into it when you're ready, or stay out of it. So we should have, from here, gone to here, gone to here. So this is where I am now. And from here, I'm now going to move towards my left leg. I'm going to lift my right heel, pivot on that back foot, and come to warrior one. So it doesn't matter which way you're facing. Hopefully, if you were facing me at the beginning, you're still facing me, but you want to make sure your left foot is in front now. Left foot in front, back foot heel down, toes at a 45-degree angle. Bring your right hip forward and your left hip back so your pelvic heads are level. Shoulders over hips, tailbone tucked, heart space open, shoulders wrap back and down. If you can, lift your eye gaze, lift your heart, take your thumbs back and add a little bit of a back bend. But your back leg needs to be very strong here. So power through that back heel to give you stability. Keep working on getting those hips level if you can. One more breath here. Now, we're going to lift the back heel and come into that revolved lunge. So I'll show you the low option first. Float your hands forward, lift the heel, drop the back knee, hand to a block, hand to the thigh. Or hand up, hands to your heart center, or knee lifted. So you're in a version of revolved lunge, looking left. We always twist to the right first. The received wisdom is that's because it presses on the right side of the gut first, and that's how it helps your peristalsis. There you are. I told you it was too much information. So drawing your inner thighs together to give you strength here, and as you exhale, see if you can increase that twist. Now, if you're hardcore and you want to come straight into your revolved chair pose, you slide that leg forward and find the pose. Otherwise, bring your hands down, draw that leg in however you can, and find your revolved Utkatasana. And again, you want to watch this right knee might be creeping forward. Draw it back. Sink as low as you can. Lengthen your spine. Take your bottom back. If it's too much in the knees, don't go too low. From here, we're going to come back to Utkatasana. With or without the arm raise, your choice. One more breath, and then straighten the legs. Doesn't it feel lovely to straighten the legs after that lot? We're going to do one more squat if you want it, or come straight to the floor if you've had enough. Those of you who want another squat, take your feet wide, heels in, toes out, press the palms together, and come down into Malasana, garland pose. So here, I'm facing side on because it's not very elegant from the front, but also so that you can see that I'm attempting to lengthen my spine here, pushing my elbows into the inner thighs, dropping my tailbone. If your heels won't come down to the floor, you can have them lifted or you can have them on blocks. That makes it easier. If it's just not your pose, and it isn't everybody's pose, if you absolutely hate this and think I'm never coming back to yoga, please don't. Just ease your way out of it. We're coming to the floor anyway. So we'll all come to the floor now. Stretch your legs out in front. We're back in Dandasana, that staff pose I showed you at the beginning. So lengthening your spine as much as you can, drawing your crown up away from your tailbone. Inhale, take the arms up and over, stretch up. So you really feel a stretch to the sides of the body. And as you exhale, hinge from the hip and come forward. So a bit like we did with that head to knee pose, only now we're bringing the head down to both knees. This is Paschimottanasana, intense stretch of the west side of the body. So yoga is traditionally practiced facing east, so therefore the front of the body is the east side of the body, the back of the body is called the west. So we're stretching the west side of the body. So with every breath, you're trying to draw your chest closer to your thighs and your brow closer to your shins. Now you can here, if your feet appear to be inaccessible to you, use a strap. and work here on getting some more flexibility. But again, be careful. Don't use your strap like you're restraining a wild donkey. You want to be kind to yourself here and just use it to get a little bit closer within your own range, whatever's possible for you. And then release the head and neck and enjoy this stretch, breathing deeply as you feel the softening of the back of the thighs. Paschimottanasana, intense stretch of the west side of the body. The east side, the front of the body, is called Purva. Purva means east. It also means early. Beautiful synergy there with the sunrise. The east, the earliness of the day. One more deep exhalation. When you next inhale, start to come up again into that lovely Dandasana, that straight back, that staff pose, that stick pose. So now take your hands underneath your thighs, soften the knees, bring the feet in and take them out to the side. So we're coming into a wide-legged position, making a V shape with your legs. If they'll go to right angles, that's great. If they don't go so wide, they don't. That's just how your hips are. Lengthening the spine as much as you possibly can, flex the feet, find your height here. Take your hands as if you were gripping a stick, and we're going to stir. So take your stick forward, draw a nice big circle coming towards one foot, draw that back in a circle, draw it forward towards the other foot and back to where you began. This is called Chaki Chalasana, grinding of the mill pose. So imagine that you've actually got a mill here and you're grinding your corn. Or if that reference doesn't give you a good enough picture of what you should be doing, you can imagine that you've got a big bowl of lumpy porridge and you're holding onto your spurtle and giving it a good stir. So do one more in this direction, moving with your breath. So you could inhale as you come back and exhale as you come forward, or you could do it the other way around. It doesn't overly matter. Change direction when you get to the front. Inhale. Draw your belly button towards your spine when you come back. Tuck your tailbone under. So if you're leaning back at this point, you'll need to make your abdominal muscles work. If they don't work so well, don't come so deeply. Equally, if your coccyx doesn't like it, if the floor's a little bit hard and you're not liking the feeling of that at the base of your spine, don't come so deep. Or quickly reach for a blanket and shove it underneath to give you a bit of cushioning. We'll do one more here. And then come to an upright seat. So we're still with the legs out. You might want to point and flex a couple of times if you're feeling a bit tight here. Now here, it might be a good idea to take a block underneath the buttocks to give you a little bit more space, if that's going to help you, or a cushion or a blanket. We're coming into a forward fold. So sit up as tall as you can and try and hinge from the hips. Maybe turn the feet slightly in here so that you're internally rotating your thigh bones. Lengthen and start to come forward if you can. We'll take 4 breaths, just like we did in Paschimottanasana and Janushirasana. We inhale for length and we exhale to start to come forward. So again, your blocks, if you've got them, quite handy for your forearms. You might need several. Come to wherever you can. You might be a long way from the floor. You might be able to spread your chest out along the surface of the floor. Some people can. I can't. Inhaling and exhaling. When you get to your 4th breath, just surrender to wherever you are in the pose. Be grateful for whatever your body will do. You don't need to compare it to anybody else's. All bodies have their limitations and the many blessings. Inhale, press your fingertips into the mat. Come out of it slowly. It's quite strong. You might be feeling it at the backs of the legs. So gently draw one heel in Draw the other and shuffle those heels back into down to the floor. We've done this several times this week, those of you who've been here with me all week. So tuck the tailbone under, send your tailbone away, draw your belly button to your spine, draw your pubic bone up. You can have your hands on the floor on your thighs, or you can float them up. Choice is yours. If you can come down slowly, one vertebra at a time, see if you can. Whew. Use your breath. And when you get there, hug your knees into your chest. Gently rolling from side to side to release off the hips. And we've got one more pose here if you'd like to take it. Choice is yours. You can. Stretch your feet up to the ceiling, pressing your soles of your feet as if you were pressing on the ceiling. Or if you've got a wall handy, you can shuffle your bottom to the wall and put your feet up the wall. That gives you a lot more support for your feet. Or if you've got a chair handy, you can bend your knees and rest the backs of your calves on a chair. That's a really nice restorative position. It's called Vipariti Karani, reversed instruments, your legs being the instruments. It's a really nice pose if you spend a lot of your day standing or seated. It's said to reduce the likelihood of varicose veins. It's said to reduce pooling in the lower limbs and to ease restless leg syndrome, tired leg syndrome. It's an inversion, so it strengthens the heart muscle because your blood gravity is working in a different way with your circulation. So if you're all right to hold your legs here, then hold them, flexing them, but do use the wall, do use a chair if you've got one to hand, so you can just rest your calves on there or up the wall. If you've got your legs up the wall, feel free to stay there for your final relaxation. Otherwise, draw the knees back into the chest, give them a bit of a hug. Drop your feet one by one to the floor and come into semi-supine. Now you can knock your knees together here. You can stay here. You can put a bolster, if you've got one, or a blanket under your thighs or the back of your knees to give you some support. Or you can keep your feet up the wall. Or you can come into Shavasana. Send one foot, then the other foot away. Allow the feet to flop out to the sides. Turn the palms to the ceiling. Draw your shoulder blades together to open your chest and close your eyes. So we've just got a couple of minutes. Make this time for yourself. Connect in with your breath. See how your body feels. Has your breathing changed since the beginning of class? Does your body feel more spacious? Have your hips released? Has your heart opened? Have you forgiven all the people you need to forgive, including yourself? Let it all go. In Shavasana or corpse pose, we are invited to let everything go. We can't take it with us, and we don't need it. We don't need it because we are already complete. This is complete. That is complete. From completeness, you may take completeness away. Completeness remains. You are never less than complete. If you're able to stay here for another 5, 10, 15 minutes, then please do so. Just ignore my voice. Otherwise, if you really feel you have to go, gently stretch out the body. Gently draw the knees in. Roll over to your right side. Gently and in your own time, draw yourself up to seated. Bring your hands to your heart center. Flutter your eyelids open and look at your fingertips. Lengthen your spine. Thank you for turning up today. I hope you'll turn up again tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy the sunshine and a lovely weekend. Namaste.